Hello and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be talking about the newest addition to the Touch of Glam Beauty Color Me Multi Collection. I have videos up with their previous collections in case you're interested. These are a very sparkly, shiny formula, which is a little bit on the sheer side and can be built up, and these are flaky. And today's video is sponsored by Touch of Glam Beauty, so thank you so much for working with me again. And all these shadows were sent to me, and I do have a non-affiliated code, which I will put up on the screen in case you're interested in any of these. So there's lots of shades to look at. I did kind of put these into two groups. So I'm going to be creating 3 looks, and at the end of the video, I'll give you some of my thoughts. So for the first look, I'm actually going to be dipping into the Gemini 2 palette because it has some nice red tones in it. Oh, that's unfortunate. So don't peel these back. Unfortunately, that just got ruined. But like all of these tones is what I'm kind of looking into using because I really want to use a deeper connection, which is this red shade that I've been dying to use. And I want to pair it with Mind Always on the Go, which is literally my mind. So this shadow describes me perfectly. So I'm taking Bella, and that's going to go right into my crease. I could have dipped in for a yellow for a different palette, but I was like, let me see if I can get some use out of my Melt palette, since it is rather new. I mean, they reformulated it too, and I got it, but I haven't been really reaching for it. Next, I'm taking Lovesick, and that's just gonna go onto my outer corner, and I'm gonna just a little bit bring it up into my crease. So just packing it on out here, and then swooping it in. And I'm taking LX Queen, which is even darker red. Deepen it up a bit more because you know me. And then I'm just gonna bring it in here as well. And I'm gonna wipe off this brush the best I can and go in with a little bit of Bella, just on the edges of that. And then I'm gonna slowly bring it down underneath my lower lash line, but I don't really want it there too much. And then I'm just gonna add a little bit more Lovesick. It just brings me back to their first Lovesick stack. And that blended really beautifully. So with these kinds of shadows, I think I'm going to do one look where I don't use some sort of a primer and just use my finger. But these are pretty flaky and they do not pick up the best on a brush, even a toothier brush. Flakier shadows, I like to take my finger and push it up against the edge of the pan to really smooth it out. And then we're going to do this without a primer just to see, because sometimes I actually feel like the primer can make things crease. Some of these do feel a little bit on the creamy side. They just feel a little bit extra emollient. And this one, as you can see in the pan, this one is quite flaky. I feel like the other one was maybe not as flaky. And it's even picking up flake here or there, but this shade is so beautiful. So this one feels a little bit more on the creamy side. So I picked it up and I'm gonna smooth it out with swiping motions. And I'm gonna go back in with the red shade, which is called A Deeper Connection. And I'm going to put that here just to bring it back a little bit. The shadow is so pretty, though I feel like it's not as red as I saw in their videos. And here's the first finished look. For the second look, I'm going to be using the Allure palette from Lemony Cosmetics for the mattes because we have lots and lots of beautiful, colorful options. And for this look, I planned on using Dark Love and Daily Mantra together. This shade right here is so beautiful. It's so shiny and so shifty. When I swatched it, I knew I had to use this one on the lid. So I'm dipping into Seafoam, and that's going to go on the inner crease of my lid about halfway, I think. I may bring in some other shadows on the outer portion. Just going in with a little bit more. Love this color. It's such a, the name is really perfect for this one. And I wiped off my brush and I picked up Catch Me, and that's gonna go right out here. And I'm gonna be blending a deeper matte into it, of course, because that's what I've been doing all the time. Just can't seem to stray away. So next I'm taking the Deep, and I'm just gonna pack that onto the outer corner here. First packing it, and then I'm gonna start blending it. But I don't want it to go too much in there. I just really want it to stay out here. So I'm gonna go back in with this brush and just slowly work it out. And then dipping in just a little bit more, because I do kind of want to wing this out a bit. Just create like a triangular shape here. And then I'm going to connect my lower lash line. And then taking the deep to connect my lower lash line. And then Catch Me to blend into the edge of that. Kind of reflecting what I did with the rest of the shadow. And on this side, I am going to go in with just a tiny bit of the Fairy Pixie Epoxy. And I like to just tap on it, make sure I'm not using too much. And then using a toothier brush, this is the Lunar Beauty LPE7. I'm picking up Daily Mantra. And so you can kind of see this picks up super flaky, which is why I prefer to just use my fingers. But obviously then you don't have as much control. So I'm going to see how this works out. So it comes on a little bit scattered when you use a brush, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe that is the look that you're going for. So that looks, you know, a bit different than here. But this way, I think you can really build it out versus risking putting on too much. And then I'm going to use the same brush and pick up Dark Love. And I'm going to put that underneath. Just kind of swiping my brush back and forth. And this way, it really isn't flaky anymore because the brush kind of smoothed it out. I'm just going to go in with a little bit more. But this way you might get some fallout. So I'm actually going to take my pinky and I picked up the dark blue shade. And I'm just going to go over it a little bit. See how much that like amped it up. And I'm going to do the same with the other shade, which we'll see how much I can get in there. So I really picked up the tiniest amount. And I'm just going to swipe that here. And that is so pretty. And here's the second finished look. For the third look, I'm going to be using the Hindash Beautopsy palette. And I'm basically going to be using this pink and just kind of blending these two together. And then deepening up on the inner and outer corners with this shade down here, Intra. So we're taking Boy Wonder and popping that into my crease. This is kind of a built up kind of formula. And I actually enjoy it. It's not like, I'm not sure if I would say it's worth the money per se. So then going in with Intra and just laying it down on my inner lid and my outer corner. Just leaving the center clear. Adding in a little bit more. And then I'm gonna go back in with this brush and just blend that up a little bit. And then I'm gonna take it underneath my lower lash line, just out here. And the shade I'm gonna be using in the center of my lid is called Just Breathe. And I'm gonna be using a silicone tip applicator to apply this one since it is so flaky, and this picks it up really nicely. I did apply it with no tacky primer on this eye because I am going to be wearing this look for a couple of hours. So I want to see how it wears. So this, I think, is not going to really smooth out. I think I'm going to have to go in with my finger to help that really smooth out. So I'm just bringing that up into my crease right in the center and just kind of rubbing it in. So I do think that the silicone tip applicator works way better than any brush. But I feel like if you're using a silicone tip applicator, you might need something tacky to just help these adhere and stick down because they are so chunky. Like I said, I use my finger on this eye to apply, and it looks so beautiful. And I applied this about like 20 minutes ago. Actually, I was walking around with just one eye done. But here is the third finished look. So I've had this look on since 1:30. It is now 6 o'clock, so it's been a few hours. It's pretty hot today. I was sweating, I was out and about, and I don't see any creasing. I do think when I look up close, I can kind of see a little bit of a difference due to the application. So this eye just overall looks smoother. It's still really sparkly and shiny, but this one, it just looks a little bit more spaced out, a little bit more almost like sheer. It's like the sparkles are kind of just sitting on top versus this one. They look like they're kind of blended into the skin. For the eyeshadow primer, I use the Too Faced Shadow Insurance 24 Hour. And I did set just the center of my lid, right in the center where I was going to be applying the shimmer shadow, which is this random setting powder from Wet n Wild that I'm trying to get through because I had quite a bit of pan. So I've been using this one to blend out like edges of eyeshadow, etc. So I used no glitter primer. So I think that I would recommend using these either with a finger or with a silicone tip applicator. So it's really up for you to try. I also don't really have much fallout, maybe just a tiny bit here and there, but some of it might be actually left over from application. So of course I have not wear tested all of these shadows, but so far I think this is a good sign, especially for me, because pretty much everything creases on me at this point. So I have used 5 shadows at this point, and there's quite a bit more new shadows that have been added to the collection. So I will definitely be featuring a couple of these in looks on my Instagram. So make sure you're following me on there. As for recommendations, I think it's really totally up to you. It's really going to be dependent on your color preferences, but there's lots of purple shadows to choose from. So if you're a purple lover, then you will really enjoy these. I think for me, the standout is definitely I Matter, which is this kind of like a flakier take on the grungy green to a reddish shifting shadows. And you can see that one is super reflective. I also really do enjoy the shadow I have on right now. Just Breathe, I think. And then the other standout is definitely Daily Mantra. I mean, this one is so dimensional. It's so beautiful. I love this one. Very, very shifty. And then I also do like a deeper connection, but I was expecting more from the shade. I really was hoping it would be a really vibrant kind of red, and it's a little less vibrant, and a lot of these are kind of like somewhat sheer because of the flaky texture. So a little bit more topper-like, which I do enjoy. The other shade in here that I think is very interesting, I did not use this one though, and that is A New Beginning. And this one is just a really beautiful, super cool toned purple, and it has the most interesting shift. Let's see if I can kind of show it in here. I mean, you could see it from the swatches, but to me right now it looks like orangey red pink. Like I see all the colors in this one, so I think just high level those colors are my personal favorites. I will most likely be repanning these into circular pans just like I did with the other Color Me multis. I just prefer just the way that they sit in an empty palette. So just for reference, these are the other Color Me multis. I do think that the newer shades are flakier than the original shades, so let me know in the comments below which look was your favorite, which shade is your favorite, and if you plan on picking any of these up. And thanks so much again to Touch of Glam Beauty for sponsoring another video. So that's everything for this video. If you enjoyed it, then don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time.